What's going on, everybody? Cigar Pro Tim here, and I got my buddy, my bro, Cigar Prop Kevin. What's going on?
Are we live?
We are live.
Is this how you do it? You know, when you called me out of all of this time, I never realized, and I thought it was funny, the last 3 digits of your cell phone number.
Oh, it's beautiful. Being a Christian and having the last 3 digits of my phone end in 666 is just glorious. It's a great conversation.
I saw that and I go, Jessica, look.
Facebook user, hey guys. Well, hey to you too. I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but if you want to click on that StreamYard link so that you can give StreamYard access to your Facebook account so that your name will show up and you become more than just Facebook user, that'd be great. But I just wanted to come on today and hang out and smoke a cigar from Espinosa in partnership collaboration with the other guy on the screen. And it is the Back in Black right there. And I had this yesterday. Actually was texting you while you were probably sound asleep when I had it last night.
Oh yeah. The time difference between us.
But I had it last night, and as I was going through each third, I was like, oh, and there's this note, and then there's this, and went through the whole thing because I just thought, hey, I'll give you my thoughts on it. It's not a formal official review or anything like that, but just wanted to let you know at least what I was experiencing. Anthony Giannis, one of the hashtag winning Giannis brothers. Better, there you go. Very cool. So we're just going to hang out, but I do want to talk about Back in Black because I've got the beautiful box here. Oh, good. I can get the glare on it so you can see.
Yeah. It's a little tough.
There we go. Nice and clear. But so tell me about the process with it. Obviously, it's a lengthy process. And oh, look at that. Somebody that I think you know pretty well is jumping on here. Mr. Care Villahante, Stogie Road Cigars. What's going on, Care?
Hey, my fellow broadleaf bully will be filming our podcast later this evening. That's why I got my broadleaf bully gear on. But yeah, I was actually driving in my car one day with my back in black hat from Smoke Inn, black with black stitching, and then I had called up Abe and I go, hey, let's do a barber pole, a dark on dark barber pole, and he said, yeah, man, let's do it. Like, he's never done one. And he said, do you want me to handle like calling? Do you have someone in mind? And I'm like, you know what? I've got someone in mind. And then I called Eric Espinosa on the phone and I said, Eric, this is what I want to do. And Eric goes, that's dumb. Like nobody's gonna buy that. And I literally said, Abe said he'd buy it, and he goes, okay, let's do it. So if it was just me, he'd have been like, no. But I'm like, yeah. Abe said he would buy them, and so it's like, yeah.
Yep.
The factory wasn't thrilled about doing it.
Well, and I'm sure that after he hung up the phone, Eric had one of his usual bro, let me tell you kind of stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love talking with Eric, and but yeah, I didn't. When Abe said, we can do this project with anybody, like legitly, nobody came to mind. Nobody but Espinosa. I mean, it was, and I don't know why. I mean, I don't like everything Espinosa does. I like the majority of his cigars. But
sure.
Yeah, just something about him, and I knew he'd knock this one out of the park.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Espinosa. I mean, a lot of other brands have been using Espinosa. The Lazona factory. I mean, our friends over at Amendola Family Cigars are using the Lazona factory for some of their stuff. I mean, they don't put out bad cigars. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Espinosa is absolutely on the mark and knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they make, like a lot of manufacturers, they make cigars that don't hit my palate right. But
sure.
I've never had a bad one, so everybody raves over that is it La Rana? And yeah, I think it's La Rana. I didn't like that one. Everybody raved over that. Yeah, I'm like, I didn't like that. So, but yeah, so everybody else loved it. But yeah, Eric and we talked pretty in depth about like what I was smoking, what I was liking, what I was wanting in this cigar, and he sent me 3 different samples, and just absolutely killed it on all 3 of them.
That's awesome.
They were just, I mean, he captured everything in those 3 samples, and then I had to choose between those 3, and actually I chose. It was hard, and I chose the Mexican San Andreas and the Connecticut broadleaf, and then the broadleaf market took a shit.
Yep.
So and then I know Eric's a Habano guy, so
Yep.
I'm like we got to go with the Habano, because I mean because his name is on that cigar. I mean either way, but his name is on a Habano. I mean,
Yep.
that cigar is just going to be spot on, and he and his guys crushed it. And as far as I know, even to as of right now, Eric and for the life of me, I can't remember this blenders. Hector Alfonso. Neither one of them has smoked this cigar yet.
Interesting. So they didn't try it when they were blending or doing anything at all.
No. That they sent me all the me and Abe sent us all the samples, and then because they were really working from down here, and then then we had to change something. Yeah, neither one of them have ever smoked the final blend. So
interesting.
Yeah, Hector said he's got the factory sending him some bundles because he'd like to try them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're right. Habano, the Ecuadorian Habano, Eric just absolutely gravitates toward, and then obviously he does Oscuro stuff and Maduros. I mean, I've got a good friend Travis that the 601 Maduro is just his jam, and the darker stuff that Eric puts out is it is not for everybody's palate, but the diversity, even though they're all darker, richer in flavors and all of that, they are just so good. And I'm a mild to medium plus cigar enthusiast. And this one, I had it last night, and I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't be like, oh, hey, it's great. It's a phenomenal cigar. It's great. The way that the two wrappers complement each other and the flavor notes and everything, it's a unique journey with this cigar.
Yeah, and I appreciate all the honesty that I've gotten so far. Everybody has liked the cigar. And I would expect people is like if it's not in their wheelhouse, it's not in their wheelhouse. It is what it is. Our good buddy Care Viajante's on with us tonight. When he's had some issues from his personal or his last factory, and I told him, when it wasn't right, I'm like, cigar's not right, man. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass like a lot of people will. Like this cigar is not right, and like I said, and luckily, now his new factory, everything's dead on. And, when he was blending his cigars, he was sending me samples, and there were some like, nah, this isn't it, and trying different factories. And, because it doesn't help anybody when you just, when you're just saying what they want to hear. It doesn't help anybody at all.
No, I mean, it's like with, YouTube channels, and, we've got a couple good friends of ours. I don't know if it's Caesar or Robert, but Smoking Lead on here. I got to get my hands on that cigar somehow. We've got 505. We've got Danny on here. Different cigar reviewers. It's like when we talk about our channels and we go, okay, try it this way, or try your lighting that way, or when you're doing your cuts, mix it up this way. You've got to be able to be honest for everybody to improve. Otherwise, they put it out and you're like, well, I didn't really care for it, but I told them I did, so hopefully other people like it. And it's just not the way we should be supporting each other.
Oh yeah, like I said, if there is a cigar reviewer out there that has worked with me, and that's boy, I will tell you that too. I'm like, that sucks. I mean, the way like your transition, that sucked. That is dumb. Why are you doing that? Your description, that's the worst. So yeah, and I'm like, I am not here. Like, especially if you reached out and asked for my help. So it's not like I'm reaching out to you, and but yeah, if you reach out for my help, like I said, it's like, oh no, just. You're doing good, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. That doesn't help anybody.
No, not at all. And when somebody reaches out, they've got to prepare themselves that you're asking for somebody to be brutally honest and go, hey, I can take it because that's why I want to get better. It's why I want to improve. And, Care said something just a second ago that I put up there. Great chocolate starts, levels off, and adds some spice that makes it so enjoyable. Hashtag Barbapole King approved. But it is a chocolate cocoa. You get into some nuttiness. You get into, it's a really interesting journey having both of the wrapper leaves on it, and then the all Nicaraguan binder and filler. But it's a really interesting journey, and it does, like Espinosa, especially with the Warhead and some other ones, it creeps up on you in the last third. If you don't like a full strength cigar, this one's going to surprise you.
I've told several people that. I'm like, if you don't like it, I said, put it out before the first third. Because as soon as you hit that first third, man, that thing will light you up. And listen, and I'm not known for strong cigars, but I wanted
No.
I wanted something, that people really weren't going to expect from me was a bold, stronger cigar. I didn't want a lighter cigar because then most people are like, phoned it in. So I mean, I think it's harder to make, a really, bold, spicy cigar and than it is there's a Connecticut, and just like I said, you just phone it in and that's it. So I definitely, and a lot of people thought Candela was going to be my first, and
that was my thought. I totally thought Candela.
Yeah, we've got some great projects with Candela in the works with a few people, and so yeah, you'll eventually see a Candela cigar from me. But yeah, this one was just a cool little project for sure.
Nice. So what does Jess think of it, since she loves her strong nicotine? What does she think of it? Is it weak to her, or is it like, oh, okay, I can start to feel it?
No, she can definitely feel it. She likes it. We've got one. I did buy a box. So when she smoked the first one, it was during the live with Abe and I. She hadn't smoked one since the samples 9 months ago. So we didn't have any, so I smoked through all the samples, and she was a little irritated. Of course. So when we smoked this one out of the box, it was during the live with Abe the night of the release. So she didn't get a chance to really sit down and enjoy that cigar like she should. She liked it. So we're going away in a couple weeks to Universal Studios. We're going back there. We were just there with the kids and in-laws. Yeah, that was fun. A group of 12 people to a theme park. That's always so we're going back for the weekend. Just
Controlled Chaos Part 2.
Yeah, just Jessica and I. That's it. So we're gonna grab a couple. We got dinner reservations at one of the restaurants. We're staying in the resort. So at one point we're just gonna kick back. We're gonna light up a couple of those cigars and actually concentrate, on those cigars.
Nice. Now, I know that you only pick up like 3 flavor notes in most cigars.
Yeah.
So what do you pick up most out of this cigar?
Oh, and I told Eric that. He goes, "What do you like?" I go, "Chocolate." Everybody knows I like chocolate. If you don't have chocolate in that cigar, everybody's going to know that I didn't make that cigar,
Yeah,
so,
right.
A lot of chocolate. For me, when I was smoking the samples, and I was going back and forth with it was like a semi-sweet chocolate, dark chocolate, but I was getting a lot of chocolate. You had mentioned cinnamon when you were mentioning me. I always got a little bit of cinnamon on it, and then just a ton of just spice in general. I said I'm not good enough to pick out a whole lot else, but yeah, just a lot of spice, just lighting up your the tip of your tongue, the sides of your tongue, and and I definitely and it pairs well with my Bacardi diet. I haven't tried it with anything else.
That's a necessity for you. It has to pair.
It really is. That's why I said I can't go down to a factory testing cigars. I'll be drunk. I'll be nicotine buzzed, because I'm like, every cigar has to pair well with that beverage.
Yep. Yeah, because I picked up the chocolate. I picked up the cinnamon. Once I got into the second third, I picked up a lot more of like a nuttiness, toasted almond kind of flavor note, which really got stronger in the final third. There's some woodiness in there, but yeah, the pepper on the tip of tongue is like a white pepper, and then about halfway through, when the spice kicks up, it goes into a black pepper, and that's what you get for all the rest of it. You've got the black pepper and the stronger flavor notes in there, and the chocolate carries its way all the way through it. So it was a really cool journey through the transitions, because you've got 2 very distinct and very popular wrappers on the cigar.
Yeah, and that's and the one thing that I wanted to go with on the wrappers is not necessarily, because everybody does barber poles. Not everybody. A lot of people do barber poles, and it's just for looks. Hey, let's do super contrasting colors, on the barber poles, and I really didn't want the barber pole. And Care Vihante, Barber Pole King, he's the same way as me. And, he wants the wrappers to complement each other and complement, the binder and the filler on the inside. It's not just taking, some barber pole, 2 leaves and just rolling them together. And, that's one thing that Hector had said, that the factory had said, why do you want to waste, 2 dark wrappers on the same? And I'm like, well, they're 2 completely different wrappers. They have the texture alone is completely different. You get that Mexican San Andreas, little toothiness. You get that Habano, which is that, that smoother wrapper. So even just on your mouth and the hand feel, it's going to give you a different experience, that you normally don't get from a cigar. It usually feels and tastes the same.
Yeah, and having had plenty of barber poles myself, it's usually very, very obvious when you go from, the main leaf on the wrapper that you're tasting with all the flavor notes to the other one, from the light to the dark. It's polarizing, but with this, it's just they complement each other really, really well. And I was surprised by that. I figured I'd go with, okay, you'd get the sweeter earthiness from the Mexican San Andreas, and you'd get, those flavor notes, a little bit of the spice, and then get to the Habano, get a little more spice and get some nuttiness and some caramel, things like that. And I love caramel notes in a cigar, and I was shocked that I didn't get it out of this one, but I think it's because the San Andreas and the way that they blend together, it doesn't overpower it in a bad way, but you get a little more push from the San Andreas than I expected.
Yeah, and those cigars did have quite a bit of time, not quite a bit, but I think they were aged well over 60 days before, by the time they sat in Eric's warehouse, Abe's warehouse, and then so that they had plenty of time just to everything to marry together, which was absolutely great. And then and I still think they need, people that are buying them, definitely put a few away. 30 days from now, definitely try 30 to 60. You're going to find like that nicotine's probably going to fall off just a little bit. That's going to bleed out a little bit. So I'm thinking like 30 days, this cigar is really going to be at its optimum.
Well, I'm going to have to be patient then with mine because they're disappearing. But they're good. But you've done a lot of transitioning from where you started when you were doing reviews to what you and Jess are doing now, because you did reviews, you're in your garage, you got the backdrop. I remember talking with you probably 2 years ago now. You're in your garage, and I was like, I promise, you were telling me, when I had my old studio, you're like, I can't wait to have a place to do it and have it dedicated. And I love watching your videos, but I hate watching your videos because your background and you're this and you're that, and you go and you're like, and I just have a tarp behind me so that people don't see my garage. And look at where you are now with, getting ready to build an entire 400 square foot lounge / studio and all that together. Like, where are you guys headed for anybody that hasn't heard?
God, I don't even know where we're heading, because I can't believe we're at where we're at right now. Yeah, we're building it's a 550 square foot cigar lounge on our house. So we're dedicating about 100 square foot, 110 to a new office. This will be a walk-in closet eventually. And so we'll have a 450 square foot lounge. We're probably going to build a walk-in humidor,
nice.
a small one, maybe 60 square feet or so.
That still holds a lot of cigars though.
It's that's it, because even when you have a small closet, you gotta think you can stack to the ceiling. You can stack. Oh, yeah. Even 50 square feet, you could probably put 8,000 cigars in 50 square feet.
Yeah, so, and the humidification for that, to be able to fill it up enough so that it'll maintain, and your humidifier isn't just constantly running.
Yeah,
you've got to be able to have enough to justify that kind of space. And you said that where you're at now is going to become a walk-in closet. So I'm guessing 2/3 of that's going to be filled up by all the hats you have.
Yes. We've got a company coming in. It's going like the California closet type people. They design everything. Yes, I will have plenty of hat storage, but yeah, and we need more room because we just started Trash Panda Cigars, so we've got that going on. So, we're going to have, in the coming months, we're going to have thousands of cigars coming into the house. So you definitely need room to store them. And a lot of this has happened fast. I was having a conversation with someone else, and we were talking like if he's like, if you think about it, like, when's the last time this has ever happened to like a cigar reviewer that has gone from someone just being a reviewer morphed to the media side, and then had his own cigar made, has a brand now, having cigars made.
Yep.
And he's like, you have done that in under 5 years. And
It's been quick.
It's been fast. And for that, it's the show. I mean, you guys had a show, when, talking to the manufacturers, you get to know
Yep.
them. And that's just most of the time, that's not just I'm on for 2 hours, I'll never see you again. I mean, you're on for 2 hours. You talk to them beforehand. You're on for 2 hours. You talk to them afterhand.
It's relationship building.
And then they're always reaching back out. You're always talking with them. And luckily, being here in Florida, and you're good in California too. A lot of reps, a lot of manufacturers love going to California, Arizona, and Florida. So I'm always at events. They're always there. So they're always. It's always like, let's do something. Let's do something. Let's do something together. And for the longest time, like, I don't want to do anything. And then now it's just, or at one point it's like, yeah, let's do something. Let's do something and see where this goes. Because it's not cheap either getting into the cigar business either. It's
there's a phrase from our good friend Brandon, cigar mechanic. And I'm not saying that he coined it, but he's where I heard it from, that in order to make $1 million in the cigar industry, you've got to start with 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not cheap.
It's definitely not cheap. So I want to stay small. I don't, I really don't ever want to get too big, because the bigger you get, that's where a lot of that comes into hand. It just, you start off with just, you and your spouse, and then you get so big, then you end up having to hire a person, then hire another person. And then now you got to sell more. And then it's just a snake eating its tail. It's a never ending cycle. And yeah, you could be doing $10 million a year, but you could still be making the exact same profit you made, doing $100,000 a year in business. So,
yep.
But yeah, so I just want to keep it small and keep it fun. It's still fun right now. It's a lot of work, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I had my father-in-law ask me when back when I was with Dad smoking cigars, starting that out, and he was like, "Oh, so you're gonna, make your own cigar and do this and do that?" And I was like, "No, that's not my goal, because it's not. I mean, people that do it like you, I think it's awesome. I mean, our good friend, Ron Reel, has blended his own and done different things like that, and it's never been a desire for me, because people have asked me like, "What's your end goal?" And I'm like, "I'm at my end goal." They're like, "Just reviewing?" And I was like, just reviewing is enough time in itself as a dedication to put out content and to do all that. And people don't understand that because they're not doing it. And I get that. They're, naive to what all goes in. I mean, it's 5 hours of work for a 10-minute video. And, it takes a lot of time. But when he asked me, are you going to do your own cigar? I have no desire. I'm at my end goal. I review cigars. I have fun smoking them. I've built up a network with good friends, in the industry. I'm going to be at TPE in January. I'm going to be at PCA next summer. And, it's a fun thing for me, but it's not the main thing for me. I mean, I've had a lot of stuff come up in my personal life this past week. And so I didn't even get my review done because I just couldn't fit it in. Personal life, family, all that comes first before any of this for me. And everybody has their own motives behind it. But for me, that's what it is. And if one day, I decide to, do a cigar or, work with a manufacturer, okay, we'll see what happens then. But I'm not shooting for it. It's not a goal of mine.
Yeah, exactly. And then our first several blends that we're going to be doing, and they're not cigars that I'm even going to sell. It's just because it's easier to blend a cigar or make it with a manufacturer than turn it over to someone like Abe at Smoke Inn.
Mm-hmm.
Like there you go. It's all yours. You sell it. You do the work. Obviously, profit margins for me are a whole lot smaller than they are for Abe. But I also don't have that investment.
Right.
Writing that check for $25,000. And then if they don't sell, it's like, oh, sorry about that. But yeah. So that's that's where I got into it. Just getting with some manufacturers and then getting with major online retailers. It's like hitting them up like, hey, I've talked to a manufacturer about a project. Do you want to take on that project? And if they say no, I'll go to another, or I'll put that one on hold. But luckily, the first few, it's been like, yeah, we'll definitely take on that project. So that's definitely the easier way to go about it versus just having your own cigar made. Like Frankie and Miguel, they're going through that now. Like I said, they're
Yeah.
having their own cigar made.
Yep.
They're selling it, and that's the reason why we started the cigar company, just in case things really started taking off. Because it takes to get your tobacco license, to get a website up and running, to get every insurance, everything else. That's a 3 to 4 month process of getting all that done. So
yep. And then getting it up and going, and having them come and audit to make sure everything's done the right way, and inventory and all that kind of control. There is a lot more behind the scenes than most people. I don't even obviously know the full behind the scenes, but there's a lot more that goes into it than people would ever realize.
Oh yeah, it's great. Just credit card processing. That's the longest, and that's just people don't realize. I mean, you're high risk because you're tobacco. So now you're paying, like Visa and MasterCard. I got to stroke each of them a check for $500 just to be able to use them. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's $1,000 a year just to have Visa and MasterCard. And it's like, what is this? And then it's just getting everybody's approval. So you get your website built, and they're like, well, we want to see this disclosure, this warning label. So you got to do that. So you got to have your legal stuff. So you got to hire an attorney, to make sure your legal, your privacy statement and all that is all up to date. That's all. It's it's tough. And luckily for me, my son is an IT guy. He builds websites. So if I had to do it myself, I don't even know where I would. He would, for the website he built for me, he would charge between $6,000 to $8,000 just to build that same website for somebody else. So that's an expense you got to have if you got to have a custom website built, and you can't do it yourself.
So when it came to getting the boxes and all of that, what was your reaction when you first looked at a box and you saw that you had, what the industry knows you as Cigar Prop on a box that you worked on? What was the reaction? Was it like a little kid on Christmas?
It was, because Eric Espinosa Jr., he's the one that designed the box. He had full reign. He asked me, and I'm like, you know what? I go, this is what I want. The dark and the shiny, the matte, and they said, man, it's never been done before. Like how, so they're trying to figure out how exactly to do it. And then I said, other than that, you guys have free reign. And he just, he sent me a video, when he got the first prototype from Nicaragua. And I'm just like, it was the culmination of just 5 years, worth of, doing this. Like you said, day in, day out, video editing, your friends just looking at you say, must be nice. And I tell you, it happened all the time. Must be nice. Just get around, smoke cigars, and make videos. Yeah, that's awesome. It's so easy and fun, and and it's not expensive at all. And it's crazy. So to see that box, and then to go down to the warehouse down in Boynton Beach, Abe's warehouse, and they had just come in that previous night. Even Abe hadn't seen them yet. So we got to open the box and pull one out. And that was so cool. And there's actually a group of 8 people that were there. And I opened up the box and I handed one out to 8 people, and I got to bring 2 home for one for Jessica and I. So it was cool. It was emotional. I'll tell you that.
I believe it. And I knew that you were going to get to the point of doing this back when you were talking about your ideas of how come nobody's ever done. And you're talking specifically about a candela and blending it. And how come nobody's ever done it this way before? And, you talk to people and they'd be like, that's dumb. That makes no sense. Why would you do that? And you're like, I don't know. And I was like, he's going to have his own cigar. I just know that day is coming.
Yeah. It's, and there are a lot of, I don't want to say a lot. There were a few people that, along the way on a couple of different, ideas I had, that said that, like, that's dumb, or that's not going to sell. Or one manufacturer had told me, he goes, I don't do that. I only blend the traditional way. I think that's the way cigars should be made, traditionally. And then, but I want, I just let it go. And I wanted to come back. I go, well, then, but you make a box press. That wasn't the original thing. You make a torpedo. That wasn't original. So yeah, you make a barber pole. That wasn't original. So don't tell me, that you're trying to keep it traditional. When if that was the case, you would make Lanceros. That's all you would make is Lanceros. So if you wanted to keep it traditional, But
Yeah, you'd go Lanceros, Churchills, and Figurados, and you'd be done.
yeah, that would be it. So, but yeah, it's people didn't believe in me, and Care's one guy that believed in me. So Care and I, like I said, we got something cool going on, and another manufacturer that he didn't think a cigar could be done because it's never been done, and we've been working on it for 2 years now, almost 2 years now, maybe 20 months, and it even the factory said it couldn't be done. Like he was down at the factory. He was down at the factory talking to the Bancheros, the rollers, talking with the plant manager, whatever you call them, and they said, yeah, it couldn't be done. They tried for the whole week that he was there, and they couldn't do it. And then he left a little disheartened. I mean, he has his own brand and everything else. That's we can't tell that now, but it was like 2 weeks later that he got a call back from the factory that they wouldn't give up. It was they're like, you know what, it can't be done, but let's spend a little bit more time on it. And then they told me, goes, we figured it out. Like, it can be done. Like, it's probably one of the hardest cigars to make and manufacture. But yeah, he said it could be done. And then probably a month and a half ago, I video chatted him, and he had one, and it was all done, and it was beautiful. And then a couple days later, I got mine in the mail. One cigar in the mail. And, out of 2 years of all of this, they made two. One for him, one for me, and it was so cool. And that's going to be a cigar, another one that it's going to make the industry think. And that's what I want. I want to bring in a little bit new, because there's always been the fresh guys. Nick Perdomo was a young guy, a go-getter at one point. Jonathan Drew, even Rocky Patel. When Rocky Patel came in, people made fun of Rock. Look at this, big city slicking lawyer, and has all these ideas of what he wants to do. So there's always that young kid that comes in, that, and then nobody wants to work with them, or everybody says, your ideas are dumb, kid. So we see how those, every time I think about that, I just think of Jonathan Drew.
And look where he is now.
Yeah, sitting on a beach, piles of money, like Scrooge McDuck, probably just swimming in it.
So do you have, because it's a natural thought for anybody that's familiar enough with the industry, do you have any intention of being at TPE or PCA this coming year specifically for anything you're releasing, or are you going just to go as you and network?
If we go, TPE is really close to the Great Smoke, and then some other stuff that we have planned. So we're probably not going to go to the Great Smoke. We're going to try and do PCE. Last year we were going to do PCE, but we had to choose between, or PCA. We had to choose between that and all 5 barn smokers. So I chose the barn smokers, and they all got canceled. So and at that point, it was too late to get in at PCA. But I would definitely like to do PCA if just meet and greet, just hang out with the people that that we we talk with virtually all the time. I mean, even during the event, we had 2 manufacturers reach out and like, hey, been trying to find you for like 2 days. Where are you and Jessica? I'm like, we're still in Florida. It's like, that's why we can't find you.
Because we're not there.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's cool. It's cool seeing a friend in the industry go places, because you ask anybody who watches different reviewers, and even amongst the different reviewers, whether it's Lee Mack or Ron, or Caesar and Robert, or anybody that's getting well known or is well known. Who do you think hustles the most? You're the name that comes up because you were just relentless, whether it's the bleed tool, or the cigar pick, or anything that you have. There's just always that next step, that next project, the next thing, and you just keep pushing and pushing, and you're in more media outlets than any other content creator, because that's what you are now, than any other content creator. Because people are like, Kevin reviews cigars, and I was like, have you paid attention to his channel for the last year? Because he's done maybe a dozen reviews in the last year, if that. I'm not sure if we've done a dozen this year. I'd have to go back, and I'd have to. But we still upload a lot of videos. We upload a lot of content,
And right now it's the short form content, the TikToks,
Hmm.
and then the YouTube shorts, and that's what's crushing it for us and a lot of manufacturers or a lot of content creators. But
Yep.
that you've got to diversify a little
Mhm.
bit. People that there's nothing wrong with sticking with one platform, but man, if that platform comes crumbling down for some reason, be it Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, now you're behind the eight ball. Now you have to build up a following on a different platform. So if at
Hmm.
least you can, at least get in, you don't have to dedicate as much time as I do to all the platforms, but at least if
Hmm.
you do a little bit on each one, if something happens,
Yeah.
it's at least you're covered. And then you never know where your audience is at. I've got people on TikTok that still don't know that that I have a YouTube and who I am on YouTube. Same with Instagram and YouTube people. Until I started uploading my TikToks, are like, "Oh, you're on TikTok too?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're a lot bigger over there than we are on YouTube."
Yep.
So it's yeah, he needs a young person to show me how to use. It's pretty easy. Just you just learn a lot of
Yep.
videos. A lot of YouTube videos on how to use TikTok.
Well, and we were talking. I mean, we're in a group with fellow content creators and
Yeah.
reviewers, and we were all talking 6 8 months ago when they demonetized Cigar Obsession, and all the different channels, and we're like, okay, where should we go? And I remember all of us were talking and chatting back and forth, like, should we try this platform? Should we try that one? And I'm on a couple different ones, obviously nowhere near as many as you are, or even fellow content creators, but we always, especially with what's gone on with YouTube in the last year, you have to be prepared for the next step and have the redundancy built in so that if that one goes away, you're still available to people.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't for really the government coming after YouTube and Facebook, and
Yep.
I really think, I think they've backed way off. Like
Oh yeah.
you don't hear anybody getting strikes anymore on YouTube. Like in our community, they've just I just don't think they want to stir that pot right now. Knock on wood. But if it wasn't for that, I think they'd have kicked us off already. It was,
Yeah.
they were hammering. I said, Brian Glenn, Brad Reef got a suspension.
Yep. Yeah.
They hit me with a warning for one of my videos, and one more I was going to get a 7-day suspension, and it was just like all at one time. Everybody, I talked to Delicia. She got hit, and
Yep.
everybody was getting hit, and then thankfully the government stepped in. Hey, we need to break up this company, and then all of a sudden all of that stopped. So
Yep.
hopefully we're good, because that's a platform that everybody knows. It's
Yeah.
just but like I said, if you don't have that redundancy built in, when they pull the plug, there are going to be a lot of channels just scrambling. And
Oh yeah.
and I know a lot of guys that don't have their videos on backup, even their computers or on the cloud. And
I've got everything.
I'm like, what? Like you don't have everything? Like, that's insane. That is insane. I just bought another 20 terabyte backup hard drive,
Yep.
just for more videos.
Yeah, I've got everything backed up on a couple different places so that if one fails, I still have everything there. And you have to have it built in because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, I remember I got hit with a warning back probably 3 months ago, and I reached out to you. Hello, Jess. And
Yes.
I reached out to you and just said, "Hey, is this something I should be concerned about?" Knowing that you were familiar more than I was, and you're like, I've had those before. Don't sweat it, no big deal." And I'm like, okay, a small channel like mine is even being getting restrictions and age restriction and all these different things, and it was just like, okay, they're paying attention, and then yeah, nothing. I mean, the video that they put the restriction on, I went back and I adjusted it, and everything since then I haven't messed with it, and I haven't had a single issue. So they've pretty much disappeared with paying attention that much. You're still muted.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, I did the same adjustments on the one, and I left everything else. And I'm like, all right, so because I was prepared to just do all my videos, just wipe, because with TubeBuddy, I can wipe every
Mhm.
video I've ever made, and then
Yep.
just put a standard, description, so
Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
would have sucked, because there are, and I do have some affiliate links, so I'd have had to
Mm-hmm.
gone back in on some of those product reviews, and which I don't know about anybody else. I don't make any money. I make like $45 a month on affiliate links from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'd have lost all those,
Okay.
whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Who cares? But my advertisers, things like that would have been a
Mm-hmm.
little, that'd have been a little tougher. And I kind of get away with that because I think they look for the way the URL is. So I use Bitly and I create a short link. So I've been using those, instead of saying go to drewestate.com, I
Mm-hmm.
just, go to this Bitly link, and hopefully that gets me by. But yeah, like I said, they, I think they've pretty much just backed off for now, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows what happens when they decide to, kick it back up.
Yep, exactly. Well, hey, I know that you've got to get going here in the next couple minutes to get stuff going for the broadleaf bullies. And this was just intended, like when I called you, I was like, hey, I'm going to go on. You want to jump on with me? No agenda, no nothing, but just hanging out and talking and smoking your cigar. Frankly, was all that was intended. But I know that you've got to get going here in the next couple minutes so that you can get that podcast episode recorded and get that taken care of.
So definitely, it's exciting to get together. The Broadleaf Bullies. We have our own YouTube channel. We're on all the podcasting platforms. If anybody wants to check it out, just four friends sitting around, just doing absolutely nothing, but just talking about everything in life.
Yep.
But Tim, I want to thank you for just being a good dude. You've always been a good friend. There's the bigger you get, not the. And the more the haters come out, so it's like, oh, you see Kevin did this, you see Kevin did that. And, and I find myself having to explain things to my friends, and sometimes I open my mouth and I say dumb things. And
that's why you have Jess.
Yeah, that's why I have Jess. But thanks for even when I do say those dumb things, and sometimes I put my foot in my mouth. Thank you for, just being a friend. That's it. Just always understanding. You're one of the, I would probably say one of the 3 to 4 people on this planet that can understand what I'm going through most of the time. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I know you got to get going. I'm still going to hang out and finish the rest of my cigar for everybody that's watching. But I know people are familiar with you in all the different places, but I don't know how many boxes of Back in Black are left, but where can people go and find them?
Just smokein.com. It's up on the main header. There's only, I think, less than a dozen boxes left from the last I checked. So if you're interested, they do have some 5-packs available as well. So definitely smokein.com. Get the Back in Black, because once it's gone, as far as I know, we're not coming back out with it. I've said if we do come back out with it, or we're going to change the box a little bit. So get yours, so you'll always know that you had the original and not the future release.
Yep. Very cool. Well, brother, I appreciate your time. I know you got to get going, but it's, as always, it's fun chatting with you and just hanging out.
All right, man. Always a blast. You have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
See
ya. All right, guys, I'm just going to hang out for a little bit. I've got about a little less than half of my cigar. What questions, comments, anything that you have for me? Anything with my experience with the cigar or anything like that at all. I just figured I'd hang out with all of you and answer any questions you may have. Content that's coming up, cigars that I'm going to review. I am going to be putting out my top 10 cigars of the year. I have my list almost finalized. The review that I'm going to do this week will be that. And then after that, my top 10 list is going to come out, unless something changes and I just decide that I want to put out my top 10 list. But we'll see how that goes. I was one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first top 10 reviews that came out, or top 10 lists that came out last year in 2020, because I had mine set. And I did have a cigar after I released that review, and I thought, oh, shoot, that may have made the list. And I won't say what cigar that was or what review it was, but you can go back on my channel and see what cigars I reviewed after I put out my top 10 list, because there was one that I commented on in my review and said, man, I wish I would have held off, and this one probably would have made that list. So you can go back and check that. But that's what I'm going to be doing coming up in the future. Personal life has gotten pretty busy. I launched a new company. I do home inspections now. And so complete change of industry and all of that for me. But all of my content is still going to be coming out. And for everybody that's been tuning in, whether it's Andy Van Dyke or Danny or Care or any of the different people that have been jumping on here, Caesar, just Anthony, person after person that jumped on here. I appreciate you hanging out with me. But what cigar are any of you smoking one right now? Let me know what you're smoking. Throw it down in the comments. Danny said, your top 10, only what you reviewed or everything you smoked? Good question. So my top 10 list last year, I believe there was one or two that I did not review that made the list. This year, it will not all be cigars that I reviewed. There are a couple that I had because even though, I review and put out content, I still have to enjoy cigars myself. And so my review list, my top 10 list for this year, will not all be cigars that I've reviewed. And I think that that's a necessary thing, because just because I didn't review it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Doesn't mean it wasn't, memorable for me. And so, Danny, there's the answer to your question. This year's list, which I have right here, which of course I'm not going to show you what they are, but haha, won't be able to see them. But yeah, I've got my top contenders on that list written down, and it is just about finalized with the order and with which one is going to take the number one spot. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of, and I'm going to say this in my top 10 list video as well. There were a lot of new, really, really good cigars this year from a lot of manufacturers, and coming out of the main pause, if you will, with COVID and manufacturing issues and being able to get boxes and being, stuck with a whole bunch of back orders for cigars that people want to have and not being able to put them out. But all of the stuff that has come out this year, I've got cigar after cigar after cigar that I have tried that have been absolutely phenomenal. So 2021 has been a really, really good year for new cigars. And I've been able to try a whole lot more this year than I did last year. And it's been a really, really cool year. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next year. I'm looking forward to being at TPE and PCA myself. TPE is just a couple months away, and so I'm looking forward to being there and being able to meet people that, like Kevin said, I've only talked to virtually, whether it's on the phone, text message, calling back and forth, whatever it may be. Being able to meet in person and hang out with those people is what I'm looking forward to a lot. Obviously, I'm going to go and say hey to manufacturers and friends that I've made and all those kinds of things as well. But being able to meet up with different content creators, I'm going to have quite a bit of content coming out from when I'm at TPE, whether it's interviews, whether it's just on social media, posting what I'm up to, all that kind of stuff. So if you're not following me on social media, I'm at Cigar Show Tim pretty much everywhere, on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, all those different things. And so that's where you can find all of my information. Danny said, I have the top 10 pretty much done. Figuring out 5 through 10 is pretty tough. And then he said that he is stoked to hang out with me at TPE. Very cool, Danny. I look forward to meeting you in person. And there are a lot of new cigar review channels that have popped up in the last year. And I got some, pushback when I did my video back probably, 4 or 5 months ago now on, why even bother reviewing cigars because of quality, because of different things like that. But that's my take on it. That's how I approach what I do. I'm very picky on audio, on the quality of it, of how clear it comes through, on just the way that I present information. There are cigar reviewers out there that go more of the fun comedic route, and then there are ones that are just straight educational. And I'm much more on the educational side because that's just what I enjoy. I enjoy learning about the cigars, learning the background. If there's a backstory on it, that's what I really enjoy about providing in my content on my channel. And so everyone does it differently. But if you're a newer cigar channel that just started this year, and there are many of them that are larger than my channel already, and I think that's fantastic for them. But if you're a newer cigar reviewer and your channel is just growing, then make sure that you're putting in the work that you can be proud of. That's really what it came down to with that video, was be proud of what you're putting out and be able to grow, be able to adjust, be able to move forward, be able to enhance your video quality or your transitions or your audio that's in it, or if you do background music, all those different things. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I would love to talk and help any of you through that. Even though I'm a smaller channel, I'm blessed to have a lot of friends that have supported me along the way, and that's where I'm at with my cigar journey and content creation journey, is wanting to help out those that have started out in the last year. I mean, Danny, you're one of them. A good friend, Adam Swanson, is another one. There are just a lot of channels that have come up in the last year that are doing really well, or they started out, like everybody does, where you go back and you look at your first couple of videos and you just go, oh man, I can't believe I put something out like that. But that's part of your journey. That's part of what you do. And I really enjoy that. Danny, you said that video was awesome. And afterwards, a lot of channels dropped. Um, as far as channels dropped, I don't know if that means a lot of channels dropped as in stopped creating content, or what you mean on that one. So if you want to explain that in the comments for me, just so I can understand what you mean by channels dropped. But there are a lot of channels that started when COVID hit. Yeah, quit. Okay, that's what I figured you meant. There are quite a few channels that did just drop off. And let's face it, with COVID, a lot of people got to work from home or unfortunately got let go and laid off. And so they had a lot more time. And with things coming back, they don't have as much time anymore. And so, whether it's because they just couldn't keep up with it, or it's because they just decided that it was too demanding of their time, because it is demanding on your schedule and on your time and what you're going to do, and being able to put it out in the same quality that you did when you worked from home and, you could take care of more stuff. But it's all about what you want to be proud of and what you want to do. So just make sure that what you're doing is something that you can look back on and go, yep, it may not have been perfect, but it helped me along in my journey. I mean, Danny, you've changed a lot with your channel just in the last couple months here. Your background, what you've got set up, you've got more cigar related items and, decor, if you will, that are in your background. And, a lot of cigar reviewers burn out. They really do. They get to the point where they're just doing more and more because they think they need to put out content, to be out there, because they want to grow and they want to get to know manufacturers. They want to get to know, different people in the industry. And that's great, but make sure you're balancing what you do. Such a good cigar. Yeah, if you guys have not checked out this cigar, go to smokein.com and check them out. I mean, like Kevin said, there's maybe a dozen boxes left in some 5-packs. Go and check them out. It is a really, really good cigar. I won't be doing a formal review on it. That's partly why last night I texted Kevin and just said, hey, here's my thoughts on it. Here are my flavor notes. What do you think of it? With my, my thoughts on it. And we talked a little bit, but I'm not going to be doing a full review on the Back in Black, which is why I came on live and wanted to just hang out with all of you and give you my thoughts on it. A lot of these channels got into it for the wrong reason, and you're absolutely right. I mean, Danny, I watched you put out a review today for the Back in Black. I think it was today that it hit. Maybe it was yesterday, but you put it out, and it's a lot of channels or a lot of reviewers get into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get sponsorship and I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that, and I can attest to having a sponsor that I, negotiated, all of that when I was with my previous channel with Dad Smoking Cigars. And, a lot of this is just relationship building, plain and simple. It's relationship building and nothing more than that. And if you're in it to get free stuff, then, hey, you know what? Enjoy the stuff that you get, the swag, whether it's coming from a manufacturer, whether it's coming from an accessory company, whatever it may be. But be open and upfront about that. Be honest. And, hey, I got this because I wanted to check it out. Or, cigars are fun, but I wanted to get into it because I wanted to meet people and get free swag. I personally, I'm not in it for that. I don't agree with that. But that's, again, my opinion and my take on it. So just make sure you can stand by whatever activity you do or how you approach your channel, because at the end of the day, that's all that people are going to see you for is what you put out. Is it something that interests them? And, are you the same person in front of the camera that you are off camera? And there's some people that are larger than life when they're on camera. And then in real life, they're much more calm and reserved and subdued and just a down-to-earth regular person. Not that they're fake when they're on camera, but they present themselves with a different level of energy because that's just who they want to be. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Went out. I wondered if it was going to. That's what I get for talking so much. Any other questions that you guys have questions about my content, questions about what cigar you think I should try out. I know a lot of people have said, the Underground 10 is a cigar that I got to check out. I haven't checked it out yet, not for any other reason, but I just haven't checked it out yet. I've never asked a company for anything. Everything sent to me was me hitting them up. Now, by hitting them up, you mean just saying, hey, or I mean, you say you've never asked for anything and then, them hitting you up. Got it. I read that backwards the first time. But yeah, I mean, just be able to stand behind what your viewers are seeing. And I've had people that have come up to me and met me, when I've gone to a couple different events. I don't attend a whole lot. That by the end of hanging out or enjoying a cigar together, Danny, them hitting you up. But by the end of hanging out, having a cigar together, whatever, they're just like, you are reassuring that what I see on camera is what I get in person. And that's appreciated. I enjoy that, but that's my goal, is to be myself. It's not a character. It's not anything like that at all. But it's just me being myself. Try the Sereno Eleanor Rose. That's a new one from Sereno. Carson's been working on a few different projects. I know the Eleanor Rose came out recently. I have it. I just haven't had a chance to smoke it yet. Been trying different things. But Carson's a great guy. He's a good buddy. And, there are a lot of people in the industry that are doing really good things, and they're genuine people. Whether it's, Carson's one of them, whether it's Enrique Sanchez with 1502, Luis Cuevas. You guys know that Casa Cuevas Cigars is near and dear to me. I love the entire family. Jack Tarano at Espinosa is a good friend of mine. When I did the drink debate with the 7 different drinks to enjoy and does it affect the flavor notes in the cigar, I called up Jack and just said, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And he said that we'd love to have Espinosa be the brand that's represented in all of those. There are a lot of good people in the industry. There really are. So if you're in it for networking and meeting people, you're in a great industry to do that. There comes that spicery on the Retro Hail, which I don't like to just have my nostrils completely burned and fried. And this has good spicery in it, but it's not, it doesn't mask the flavors that are in the cigar. And again, it's just a really good cigar. But I've been on for about an hour, everybody. I just wanted to jump on for a little bit, hang out, smoke a cigar with you guys, and relax on a Sunday afternoon. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody that jumped on and commented and all those different things. Greatly appreciated. And so I'm going to wrap it up here and call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Relax, smoke a good cigar. And that's about it. But above all, enjoy your cigar journey. I'm Cigar Show Tim. As always, I'll see you.